This is the world's first mass-produced liquid-cooled superphone. Not only does it have dual forms of active cooling, but it also has the largest passive cooling vapor chamber of any smartphone we've ever seen. All for gaming. If you ever lose a round on this beast, you won't. There's no more blaming it on the hardware. And the hardware looks amazing. This is the Red Magic 11 Pro in Silver Sub-Zero. And the blue circle you see on the back is the actual visible liquid from inside the liquid cooler. When the phone is turned on, the blue coolant gets visibly pumped around inside of the phone, distributing heat across the phone's back surface. Being a Red Magic phone, the internal cooling fan also got upgraded to 24,000 RPMs. This tag teams the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 to help keep it cool. Since the cooler you can keep your processor, the higher you can clock it. Alongside Silver Sub-Zero, Red Magic also has a black Night Freeze variant. I did get two phones just to show it off, but I only need one, and you know what that means. Hit the like button and let me know your favorite game and why down in the comments, and I'll pick a random winner somewhere in the world to give this undamaged Night Freeze to for free. It's hard to say which of the three different cooling systems is doing most of the work. I'm hoping they're all paired together, as in the water loop is using the internal air duct as a radiator, but we'll have to check on that from the inside here in a second, voluntarily or involuntarily if you catch my drift. As of now, this Red Magic 11 Pro is the most powerful smartphone on the planet, and it's time to get durability tested. Unfortunately though, it looks like the world's most powerful smartphone has a screen that scratches at a level 2 with deeper grooves at a level 3. That is until you remove the pre-installed screen protector. Got 'em. The really nice underrated feature of these Red Magic phones is that they are totally flat. No camera shelf, no camera bumps, just a pure, smooth, unrocking, uniform flush panel on the back. It's kinda refreshing. We also see scratches at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7. You know, 6-7, just like we normally see. Right about here is where you might start noticing something is different on this phone. There is no front camera. There's no hole punch, no dynamic island, at least not one that's visible. The Red Magic 11 Pro does have a 16 megapixel hidden under-screen selfie camera, protected by the same slab of Gorilla Glass. I'll turn off beauty mode since my mom says I'm beautiful just how I am. The camera is peeping up through the pixels, so it does soften the image textures a little with its algorithms. I imagine this would be a much better side-by-side comparison if I had some hair or detail to zoom in on. But alas, I look like a default NPC no matter which camera takes the picture. The sides of the Red Magic 11 Pro are made from aluminum. Here on the left we have the 520Hz shoulder trigger, also a red texture dedicated gaming mode button that can max out the phone's performance and silence notifications while you're gaming. There's also the power button and volume rocker, which aren't removable. The air intake vent is over here, as well as the upper shoulder trigger, which is not scratchable. The top of the phone has a headphone jack, blast from the past. Having lagless and lossless audio while gaming is essential for hearing the battleground footsteps. There's a reason top esports athletes always have corded headphones. And Red Magic isn't messing around. The left side of the phone has the exhaust port from the internal turbofan and an RGB light strip on the side. The Red Magic 11 Pro is like having a desktop PC in your pocket. The bottom has its 80-watt USB-C 3.2 charging port and a dual-sided SIM card tray. No expandable memory, which is a bummer, but the internal storage can be upgraded to 1 terabyte. And since the entire phone is water resistant this time around, IPX8, the red rubber ring helps keep the exterior water out. The interior water system is obviously allowed to stay. I can't tell if these are air bubbles flowing through the system or just different colored liquids, you know, like a lava lamp. I imagine it's an oil of some kind that doesn't mix with the coolant. The back glass is completely transparent and flat, no textures to be had, not even around the camera bumps. We have a 50 megapixel normal camera, a 50 megapixel wide angle, and a 2 megapixel third camera, along with a quad LED flash for some reason. 4 LEDs does seem a little overkill, but then I remembered what phone I'm holding. This whole thing is over the top in the best way possible. I imagine that Red Magic has managed to seal off the internal ducting from immersion, which is really cool, but since there's an X in the IPX8 rating, there is still no protection against dust, which makes sense since I can touch the turbofan with my tweezers. Not that you should or anything, but sometimes the intrusive thoughts just win. Something else you should probably not do is light your phone on fire. The Red Magic 11 Pro has a 95.3% screen-to-body ratio. For reference, the iPhone 17 Pro has a 91.1 screen-to-body ratio, meaning that the iPhone has much less screen in its screen when compared to Red Magic. At 144 Hz and 1 billion colors, the Red Magic lasts for 20 seconds before a white mark starts appearing on the display. But then the AMOLED completely recovers. Just for kicks and giggles, I decided to light the cooling loop on fire as well, but the fire had no effect, probably because the liquid is circulating and moving that heat away from the flame just like it was designed to do. We'll dive more into this in a second. Finally, the bin test. The esports industry is valued at about $2 billion right now, so rage quitting has a bit more weight to it when money is on the line. But for the people who haven't seen Miss Rachel or learned how to handle big feelings just yet, it's good to know that this phone can handle the physical aggression of losing just fine. No bending, cracks, kinks, or damage when bent from the back nor the front. This brick of a Red Magic phone is just as solid this year with its cooling loop as it was last year without it. The Red Magic 11 Pro survives my durability test. But is the cooling loop effective? Does it actually accomplish anything? Only the insides of the Red Magic 11 Pro can answer that question for us. I'll grab my 32-bit Precision Toolkit collab with iFixit, link in the description, and use heat to soften the adhesive around the transparent back glass slab. If brute force won't open the phone, maybe some finesse will. If you look closely, the bubbles inside the cooling loop disband into much smaller dots as the glass gets too hot to touch. This is definitely how oil or wax would react under heat, so I definitely don't think the dots are air bubbles. The tinted oil groups back together again as the glass cools back down. Red Magic says the internal cooling loop is filled with an unfreezable server-grade fluorinated liquid, which is good for heat dissipation. It's good to know that if you leave your phone out in the snow, you won't be breaking any pipes. With the back glass entirely removed, everything still looks the same, since the glass is transparent. But if we remove the decal covering the lower half of the phone, we reveal the loop in its entirety. And I, for one, am surprised that Red Magic decided to cover most of this up. It's like alien technology in here, and at first glance it does look like the loop is using the air duct and cooling fan as a radiator up top, just like in a gasoline-powered vehicle engine. I'm kind of extremely impressed. Apple's gonna go wild when they discover this in 10 years. I'll remove the 20 T4 screws holding down the back metals on the phone frame. I was a little too excited to find out how the cooling loop works that I forgot to turn off the phone. Hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt us later. I would make a terrible doctor. The top NFC pad and camera rings come off first. Then the internal air duct, cooling fan, active cooling loop, and piezoelectric ceramic micro pump come off next. You can see the liquid is still squishy inside the loops. At this point, we see where the ducting sits on top of the top-of-the-line Snapdragon 8 Gen 5, as well as where the fan touches the vapor chamber on the backside of the battery, helping to conductively pull heat away from both objects at the same time. The red gaskets at either end of the duct are for waterproofing. It looks like water is allowed to enter into the air duct itself, but the red rubber rings keep liquid away from the rest of the phone's sensitive electronics. The mesh over the air intake will help keep larger dirt and debris from entering the air duct itself, while the red gaskets seal off the mainboard and keep it protected. Kind of ingenious. The blue cooling loop circles around an 80-watt wireless fast charger, which I totally forgot to even mention since everything else in this phone is so cool. An 80-watt wireless fast charger doesn't even register as a feature, even though that's the main event on some other phones. We can see where the tips of the cooling loop touches the metal ductwork. It is just the tip, however, which gets the job done, but I wouldn't mind seeing some more coverage in the future. The pump that moves the liquid is a piezoelectric ceramic micro pump down in the bottom corner. This guy basically vibrates like a piezoelectric speaker, but thanks to the one-way check valves in the liquid, the vibrations act like a pump, moving the liquid around inside the loop. It's kind of fascinating, and I hope it all works when I put it back together. Speaking of speakers, the lower loudspeaker comes out next. There is a small hole in the top, but I don't immediately see any balls inside. I'll unplug the two plugs on the battery. Red Magic has included pull tabs on either side, but even with the pull tabs, the battery is not budging. So I drop some isopropyl alcohol down around the edges to assist the tabs. Then the massive 7,500 mAh battery comes right out. For reference, this is more than double the capacity of the iPhone 17. Tim Cook is not cooking as much as his name implies. I'll pop off the flash plastics just like a little Lego, then make my way down to unclip several extension ribbons that traverse along the battery cavity. The front 16 megapixel camera looks pretty normal from the inside, even though it can peep through pixels. There is one silver Phillips head screws along the bottom edge of the motherboard, holding it all in place. After that, the board is still pretty stuck into the frame, but with a little finesse we can wiggle it out and take a look at the optical image stabilization on the 50 megapixel main camera. The 50 megapixel wide-angle camera still in the phone does not have any physical OIS. If we make our way down to the 4D vibrator and charging port board, I'll unclip the display ribbon and underscreen ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, and we can see that the USB 3.2 port has a red rubber ring to help with that IPX8 water resistance rating. And of course, we can finally see the industry's largest vapor chamber back behind all the components. Between this passive vapor chamber and active fan and active cooling loop, I imagine the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 will have the highest frame rates of any phone in the galaxy, since nobody else even comes close to matching what Red Magic is doing internally. Red Magic is so far ahead of the pack they'd need a telephoto camera to see their competition, but they obviously didn't include one since winners never look back. With everything placed back in the phone, she boots up and blasts off into a gaming utopia. And I'd like to personally thank Red Magic for keeping the rest of the smartphone world on their toes. It's always a pleasure seeing new age bleeding edge technology from the inside. Current pricing is down in the description, and thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.